Sorry, so we need to continue with the second video now. There was some problem, some technical error. So I was just discussing about this scarf pin, which was a large diamond oddly set. Okay, so this large diamond which was oddly set, diamond, this word tells us that this man was a rich man. So this friend who has come here to meet his friend after 20 years is not a man just like that. He's a rich man. His pin, scarf pin, is of diamond. So if we move on further in the next paragraph, let's see what the author has to write. 20 years ago, tonight, said the man, I dined here with Jimmy Wells, my best chum. So 20 years ago, this person of us, that is the person who has come to meet his friend, he dined, he had dinner with his friend Jimmy Wells. So today he has come to meet Jimmy Wells. I had dined here with Jimmy Wells, my best chum, my best friend. He and I were raised here in New York just like two brothers. So both of us here raised up, were brought up in New York just like two brothers. The next morning I was to start for the West to make my fortune. So he says that I was to start for the West to make my fortune. Well, we agreed that night that we would meet here again exactly 20 years from the date and time, no matter what our conditions might be or from what distance we might have to come. We figured that in 20 years each of us ought to have our destiny worked out and our fortunes made, whether they were going to be. So what was the decision? So they were friends. The name of the friend, that means the person who's waiting, he's one, we don't know his name yet, okay? So that person who's waiting, he had dinner with his friend Jimmy Wells 20 years back, and they were two best friends. They were raised together. They had been brought up together in New York just like two brothers. And he says, so after that dinner, that 20 years back, after dinner, the next morning, he says, I had to leave for the western region of the country, talking about America, western region of the country, to make my fortune, to earn, to work well. And then we agreed that night, so that night when we had dinner, that night we agreed that we are going to meet here, that is at this place, exactly 20 years from that particular date and time, no matter what our conditions. So remember, he's waiting at 10 o'clock, so probably the dinner was at 10 o'clock 20 years back, and that's why he's here at 10 o'clock. So no matter what conditions or whatever be the things, we will see to that we'll keep our promise, and we'll see that whatever distance, however far we go, we will come. 20 years, a pretty long time. We figured that in 20 years each of us ought to have our destiny worked out and our fortunes made. And we had figured out, we believed that in 20 years definitely we will be able to make our destiny work. We would definitely have our fortunes made, that is unearned money. Good, whatever they are going to be, whichever way we move on, whatever job we take, whatever vocation we take, but we will surely be able to do our work and earn money. And then 20 years later we'll keep our promise and we'll meet at the same place. So today they completed the 20 years, and that's the reason why the person, this man, is here standing near that hardware shop which was once upon a time Joe Brady's restaurant, where they had dined together 20 years back. Okay, so that's 20 years exactly, the date and the time as well. So he's waiting here. Now this officer talks. Let's see. It sounds pretty interesting, said the policeman. Rather a long time between meets, it seems to me. Haven't you heard from your friend since you left? So he's asking, oh, it sounds quite interesting. I mean, really it's interesting. 20 years later, after 20 years of meeting somebody, it's long time. In these 20 years, did you have any conversation with each other? Were you guys in contact with each other? What does our hero say? Let's see. He's waiting and he says, well, yes, for a time we corresponded. Yes, for some time we corresponded. We had conversations. But after a year or two, we lost track. So initially when we separated, we had conversation. But after a year or two, we lost track of each other. We got busy in our life and we couldn't keep up the words and conversation. So it stopped. So no conversation, no connectivity. You see, the West is pretty big proposition, and I keep hustling around over it pretty lively. But I know Jimmy will meet me here if he's alive, for he always was the truest chap in the world. So he says, yeah, the life is too busy, and being in West, West is a very big proposition. So he says a very big proposition in the sense very very, you can say, a hectic life, very busy life. And I kept hustling. Hustling means moving around from here to there, there to here, to make money without any break, lot of work. So I was also so very busy in my life to work, to earn, to get some good life. So I also couldn't keep up, and Jimmy was also too busy. But I'm very sure that Jimmy, my friend, if he is alive, he will surely come to meet me here today, because he is the truest chap in the world. He is a man of words. He is a person who will under any circumstance keep his promise, keep his words. And if he had promised me 20 years back to see me, he is surely going to come here. So I'm very sure that today he is going to come to see me. Okay, so we move on to the next page. He'll never forget that I came 1,000 miles to stand in this door tonight. It's worth it if my old partner turns up. So he says that I am very sure that Jimmy is surely going to come up. Just a minute, please. I'm very sure that Jimmy is going to surely turn up, because he also will realize that I have come all the way from so far to meet my old partner. So I came 1,000 miles in this door tonight, and it's worth it. So he says I have come thousands miles all the way from so far, and I believe it's worth my coming, my traveling, my effort will all be paid. It will all come up. It's worth if my friend turns up. I'm waiting for him with the belief that he will surely turn up. The waiting man pulled out a handsome watch. The lid of it set with small diamonds. And this waiting man, still we don't know his name. So this waiting man pulled out a handsome watch. The lids of it set with small diamonds. So again we understand this man is quite rich, because the watch that he pulled up, even that watch is set with diamonds. 3 minutes to 10, he announced. That means it's still not 10 o'clock. 3 minutes still left. It was exactly 10 o'clock when we parted here at the restaurant door. So he says we parted exactly at 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock we shall meet, and still 3 minutes for 10. Did pretty well out, didn't you? Asked the policeman. Now you see, the policeman is observing this man, the way he's dressed up, his scarf pin a diamond. Now the watch that he pulled out has all diamonds set in it. So he's looking at him the way, and he's saying, you did pretty well. Looking at the way he was dressed, the policeman says, seems that you have earned quite well in the West. And what does the person say? Let's see. You bet. I have to compete with some of the sharpest wits going to get my pile. A man gets into a groove in New York. It takes a West to put a razor edge on him. He says, you bet, I can bet you on this. I had to compete with the sharpest, with the most intelligent people. Earning was not easy. I had to really use a lot of intelligence and compete with a lot of intelligent people to get my pile. My pile in the sense, lot of money. To make lot of money, I really had to work very hard. A man gets in groove. Groove means regular routine. In New York. New York is a very busy city, and if you're there, you have so much of work that you hardly have time. It takes the West to put on razor edge on him. Razor edge on him means put in a dangerous situation. So he says western part of this country is such that it actually puts you on razor edge. It puts you in such difficult situation, and I really had to try hard to get my work done, to get my pile, to earn my share of money. Okay, and then let's see. The policeman twirled his club and took a step or two. So the policeman took a glance here and there, again looked around. That was his duty, and he was again continuing with his duty. Took a step or two. I'll be on my way. Hope your friend comes around all right. Going to call time on him sharp. So he says, okay, then I need to go. So I'll be on my work now, and I hope that your friend comes all right. He comes all right to you. Going to call time on him sharp. Expect your friend to be punctual, he says. Don't worry. He's hoping him the best that your friend will surely come up. I hope he comes up in time. The person says, I should not say, said the other. I'll give him half an hour at least. If Jimmy is alive on earth, he'll be here by that time. So long, officer. He says, no, I'm not expecting him exactly in time. I'll give him half an hour more. If not 10, so at least by 10:30 he will come. I'll wait for half an hour extra. If he's alive on earth, he'll be here back by that time. So long, officer. I'm sure, officer, if my friend Jimmy is alive, he is surely going to be here for me. And then probably, "Good night, sir," said the policeman, passing on along his beat, trying doors as he went. And the policeman, after doing his work, talking to this man, he moved away from there, continuing his duty. What was the day thing? Trying the doors as he went on. Now further, let's see. We want to finish off with this page. Here it is. Okay. So there was now a fine cold drizzle falling in the door of the hardware store. The man who had come 1,000 miles to keep an appointment, uncertain almost to absurdity, with the friend of his youth, waited patiently. So now, if you remember in the beginning of the chapter, I told you the wind was very cold and it seemed it's going to rain. And so now here, cold drizzle started. So that light rain had started falling in. In the door of the hardware store, the man who had come 1,000 miles kept appointment, uncertain. He was not sure. Okay, so he was standing there just near the door. He stood there. It started drizzling, but he did not move. He stood there, uncertain. He was not very sure. And almost absurd. It was quite weird because 20 years probably the other person, his friend Jimmy Wells, might have forgotten his promise, might have forgotten the date, might have forgotten things. But he still waited patiently. With the friend of his youth, waited patiently. So this appointment was very unsure, was absurd with his friend of youth. Still, he patiently waited for his friend. Okay. After 20 minutes, he waited, and then a tall man in a long overcoat with collar turned up to his ears hurried across from the opposite side of the street. He went directly to the waiting man. "Is that you, Bob?" he asked doubtfully. "Is that you, Jimmy Wells?" cried the man in the door. "Oh, seems a man has come." Let's see. For 20 minutes he waited, and after that a tall man came here. How was this man? He was wearing a long overcoat. It was very cold, so he was wearing a long overcoat, and he had turned the collar up to his ears. Okay, hurried across the opposite side of the street. From the opposite side, he came directly to the waiting man. So he did not go here and there. He directly came to this man who was standing near the hardware store, and he called up, "Is that you, Bob?" Because they are meeting after 20 years, so probably there might be a lot of changes. 20 years is a pretty long time to make for a person to change. You may become fat, color, because if you're working in hot sun, so you may be tanned. So a lot of things, facial features also change a little bit. He's asking, "Is that you, Bob?" He asked doubtfully. "Is that you, Jimmy Wells?" And this man was extremely happy. He believed, "Oh, he's calling me Bob. That means it's nobody else but Jimmy," cried the man in the door. So now we know the name of this man who has been waiting since long, and we did not know. His name is Bob. So Bob had been waiting for Jimmy Wells, and now Jimmy Wells has come. "Bless my heart!" exclaimed the new arrival, grasping both the other's hand with his own. And he was so happy. Oh, he's so extremely happy. "Bless my heart!" exclaimed the new arrival. Who's the new arrival? Jimmy Wells. Okay, the person who has come in, Jimmy Wells. Grasping, holding the hands, both of them holding each other's hands, very happy. "It's Bob, sure as fate. I was certain." He said, "It's you, Bob. I was very sure. Certain. I was sure that I will find you here. Still in existence. I'm so happy that I was very sure that you are definitely going to come up. Well, 20 years is a long time. The old restaurant's gone, Bob. I wish it had lasted so we could have another dinner there. How was the West treated you, old man?" So he's saying, "Bob, I'm so very happy to see you. And look, unfortunately, the old restaurant, that is Big Joe Brady's restaurant, has gone. Had the restaurant been here, even tonight we could have had dinner together. But it's okay, it's good to see you. I wish it had lasted so we could have dinner. But well, it's good to see you. How has the West treated you, old man?" So he's calling him old man. And how was the West? How did it go on there? So, "It has given me everything I asked for it." So he asked him the question, "How has the West treated you, old man?" And what is the answer by Bob? Bob says, "It has given me everything I asked it for. You changed lots, Jimmy. I never thought you were so tall by 2 or 3 inches. So he says, "Oh, West has treated me very well. West has given me everything that I desired for. But Jimmy, you have changed. In 20 years, you have grown in height, probably 2 to 3 inches tall." "Oh, I grew a bit after I was 20. So probably they were not even in their 20s when they had separated. Even younger than that, probably 18, 17, 16, whatever. So he says, after 20, I grew a little. Doing well in New York, Jimmy? Bob is asking that, Jimmy, are you doing good in New York? Doing well in New York, Jimmy. Moderately, he says. Not very good, but moderately. I have a position in one of the city's department. So yeah, not very good, but yes, I'm doing good. I have a position. I have a post in the city department. So I work for the government section. Come on, Bob. We'll go around to a place I know of and have a good long talk about old times. So come on, Bob, let's go to a place. What's the use of standing here? See, remember, they're standing in the middle of the way, just near the door of a hardware store which is closed, and it's dark out there. So he says, let's go to a nice place where we can sit and talk and have a good chat and talk about our old times and what all happened. Oh, he says, fine. So that's a nice thing. The two men started up the street arm in arm, and they held holding each other's hand. They started moving on the street. The man from the west, that is Bob, his egotism, enlarged egotism filled with attitude. Remember, he's a rich man, diamonds and all. So he's a rich man, enlarged by success, was beginning to outline the history of his career. The other, submerged in his overcoat, listened with interest. So as they were moving, Bob, who was quite filled with ego, quite filled with attitude and enlarged with success, so much of money, he went on talking about his little bit career. He was outlining a little bit here and there about his career, and the other person, that is Jimmy Wells, he was listening to him with a lot of interest, and they were slowly moving on, walking. And as they walked, they came towards a chemist. Okay, so at the corner stood a chemist store, brilliant with electric lights. So as they were walking and they reached a chemist store which had brilliant electric lights, when they came into the glare, each of them turned simultaneously to gaze upon the other's face. So when they came under the glare of this light, both of them turned to look at each other's face. Okay, and now in this bright light, they could see each other very clearly, simultaneously, side by side. They could see each other's face very, very clearly. And now let's see what happened. Okay, so the man from the west stopped suddenly. The man from the west is Bob. Stopped suddenly and released his arm. Remember, they were holding arms, holding each other's hands as they were walking. And now when they saw each other's face, Bob immediately left the hand of Jimmy Wells. Why? The man in the west suddenly stopped and released his arm, left the hands of Jimmy Wells. You're not Jimmy Wells, he snapped, moving back. He moved back and said, you're not Jimmy Wells. 20 years is a long time, but not long enough to change a man's nose from a Roman to a pug. He said, understand, 20 years is a long time, and there are a lot of changes, physical feature changes. So height, I understand, but not so much that your nose will change from Roman, raised and curved nose, to a pug, that is a flat nose. So Jimmy Wells had a raised and curved nose, and this man who is calling himself Jimmy Wells at this moment has a flat nose. So Bob immediately says, you are not Jimmy Wells. You are not my friend. Okay? You're not my friend. I mean, looking at the face, I could make out, you're not my friend. You're not Jimmy Wells. So now what we come to know, that this man who has come here and who was calling himself Jimmy Wells is not Jimmy Wells. So who is he? Why has he come here? Let's see further. Okay, he says, in sometimes changes a good man into a bad one. He says it sometimes, yeah, he says, it sometimes changes a good man into a bad one, said the tall man. You've been under arrest for 10 minutes, Silky Bob. Chicago thought you may have dropped over our way and wired us that she wanted to have a chat with you. Going quietly, are you? That's sensible. Okay, so let's see what happens. So, the moment Bob said, you're not Jimmy, my friend, so what did this man say? Yes, sometimes a good man changes into a bad one. So you were a good man, but you changed to a bad man. And you've been under arrest for 10 minutes. So who is this man? This man who called himself to be Jimmy Wells was not Jimmy Wells, but actually a police officer. And he's telling Bob that you are under arrest, Silky Bob. And that's what his name is, Silky Bob. Actually, his name is Bob. Silky was a title that he had taken up when he got into the wrong doings. Okay, so he was actually a criminal. So, in these 20 years, Bob had become very rich. How? By wrong ways. He was a criminal, and with the help of this crime and all, he had become a rich man. And he was called as Silky Bob, and he was in Chicago. And that's what, now when he's come here, The Chicago police had wired them, had messaged these people here in New York saying that this man would probably come your side. So take note, and if you can, arrest him. So here he says, Chicago thought you may have dropped over our way and wired us, communicated through telegraph because she wanted to have a chat with you, that is, to arrest you. Going quietly are you? So what have you decided? Are you going to come with me quietly, or you want to have some kind of fight and all? And now Bob knows that he's been caught. There's no way out. And that's sensible. He says, good. Now before we go on to the station, that is a police station, here's a note. So he says, now we move on to the police station. Okay, but before we go to the police station, there's a small letter for you. You may read it here at the window. It's from the patrolman Wells. So now this officer who was there with Bob, he gives him a letter. Before I take you to the police station, I want you to read this small letter. This letter is from the patrolman, the officer who was here in charge of duty. Patrolman Wells. Do you realize anything? Patrolman Wells. Jimmy Wells. Patrolman Wells. Are you understanding? So actually, the officer who was doing his duty was nobody else but Jimmy Wells himself. He was a patrolman. So why did he do that? He did not meet his friend. He did not tell his friend that I am your friend. I am Jimmy. Why? Let's see. The man from the west, that is Bob, unfolded a little piece of paper, handed it to him. His hand was steady when he began to read. So he took the letter and he started reading. His hand was steady at the moment when he started to read. But then it started trembling as he started to read. What? Began to, but it trembled by the time he started reading and he finished. The note was rather short. What was written in the letter? It was written, that is Jimmy Wells, the patrolman Wells, that is Jimmy Wells, had written in the letter to Bob. Bob, I was at the appointed place on time. When you struck the match, I saw it was the face of a man wanted in Chicago. Somehow I couldn't do it myself, so I went around and got a plain clothes man to do the job. Jimmy. So, the letter says that Bob, as your friend Jimmy Wells, I was there in time, 10 o'clock, to see you, to meet you. Remember, 3 minutes for 10? It was 3 minutes for 10 and they were talking to each other. He says, I was there at the appointed time. But when you struck the matchstick, I saw the face of yours. The moment I saw your face, I realized it's the same face that the Chicago police is looking for, the face of a criminal. I couldn't do it myself. I am an officer, but I'm your friend, so I couldn't arrest you on my own. So I went back and I sent another officer in plain clothes to do this job. I'm your friend Jimmy. So here we end. The sting in the tail. So what we understand up till now, we thought that this man was Jimmy, but he was not Jimmy, but Jimmy was that same officer. So what do we see? These two friends who have parted. These two friends were born and brought up in New York. They were raised like brothers together. They did a good, they were together, but they separated 20 years back. One went into becoming a police officer, a very dedicated one, a hard-working one, responsible towards his duty, whereas the other turned his face towards the criminal world, got into crime, and crime never pays. So here, to value honesty, integrity or friendship and other attachment is a feat of courage. So we see a very beautiful message has been given here, that Jimmy Wells valued honesty and integrity more than friendship. He believed that honesty is more important, integrity is more important, and he believed that a friend has to be true. But because he loved his friend, he did not arrest him on his own, send another officer. But he kept his work. He was true and loyal to his job. That's all. I'll click the pictures and send it to you for the meanings if you want to write it in your books. Thank you. Take good care of yourself. Bye.